Who's more likely to be back with their team next year? Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers. Because if Ben plays well, is Ben going to go, thank you, good night? Like, there's a chance Aaron Rodgers could play well and not come back to Green Bay. Even if he doesn't play that well, he will still be playing next season somewhere, it feels like. Unless he takes the Jeopardy job. Boy, did Jeopardy screw up something that you didn't think they could possibly screw up. Like,
yeah, I thought they hired the boring guy.
Yeah, well, they hired the guy that nobody knew. But apparently they, dug up something he said on a podcast. And all of a sudden, he's still the executive producer of Jeopardy, and now they're looking for a guest host here.
Let me go back behind the scenes, if you don't mind.
Yeah. He did tape some shows. And I think that they're going to air those shows. Mike Richards, I believe, is his name. And
I don't know if they're going to air them, though. I had heard that the opposite. There's some speculation that those will never see the light of day. You think they're going to see the light of day?
Well, he's the executive producer.
They should do a category, former Jeopardy host. Does he make if they ever did a category, would he make it? Or do you have to get one show under your belt?
Well, he did. He did a whole week of shows. So he's a former Jeopardy host, guest host. I heard from somebody who works there who said that they love Savannah Guthrie, that she was really great at that role, in that role. But, she does the Today Show. Because when this first started, and, somebody from Sony said, look, you did Sports Jeopardy. Are you interested in doing this? I said, I'm not. Because, first of all, I don't want to do that full time. I didn't want to give up this job. But I did Sports Jeopardy, 6 years ago? And we did 100 episodes. But I didn't want to go in there and it wasn't a vanity play where I go, hey, I'm going to host Jeopardy for a week. I didn't care about that. Those who wanted to do it, they should be the ones getting the opportunity. And not that I would have gotten the job. Although if you go back to, is this 10 years ago that I met with the head of Sony, Steve Mosco, and he headed up all of this. And he said, look, we think Alex is going to retire. And I met with him in New York. I had just been at the Players' Championship for NBC, and I flew up that morning, met with him in a restaurant in Midtown. He had just flown back from France, and he said, if Alex steps down, would you be interested in Jeopardy? And I said, yeah. I mean, it's like that's the game show that you want to do. It's more than just kind of gimmicky, goofy. I've been offered, Price is Right and Let's Make a Deal. I was offered those jobs, but I just didn't want to do those. And I remember meeting with Steve, and he said, look, if Alex steps down, are you interested in the job? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, well, we'd probably want you to come out and audition. I go, okay. And that was really it, because they thought Alex was going to retire then. And Alex, of course, didn't. And they came up with Sports Jeopardy, flew out. They said, we're going to do Sports Jeopardy. And at no point did I go, boy, I'm sort of auditioning for Jeopardy, because that's not what I wanted to do. If you said I could do Sports Jeopardy or Jeopardy right now, I would do Sports Jeopardy. I enjoyed it. It's in my wheelhouse. It was fun. And, I wasn't tied to a job where, and here's another thing. You have to do 4 or 5 shows a day. So when Aaron Rodgers goes, hey, I could still be the quarterback of the Packers and still do Jeopardy. He could, but you don't just do one show a day. And your off season is going to be doing 4 or 5 of those a day. Alex did 5, I think, a day. Pat Sajak sometimes does 6 or 7 Wheel of Fortune episodes a day. Jeopardy is a grind when you're doing, even Sports Jeopardy. I would do 4 shows a day, sometimes 5. And you were just mentally exhausted from it. And if you're doing 5 a day, even if you're doing 45 days, but you're still doing that to get all the episodes for a year, I mean, it's a lot. And that's why Alex was a machine. I mean, he was indefatigable. I mean, he had his knee replaced, and he's still out there doing it. And that's just not something I wanted to do. It was a great challenge, loved it, and I don't know what they're going to do. Now, do you have LeVar Burton come in? I know he really wants it. Ken Jennings, former champ? I'm not sure. But it felt like, man, we got this great thing, all this publicity after losing Alex. And here you are. And that's $1 billion business in Jeopardy. Might even be more than that. These are big decisions, man. But wonderful people behind the scenes, though, that worked on Sports Jeopardy. They work on Jeopardy.